days. We had a budget planning retreat. We had two City Commission budget workshops, and we had our first public hearing for the proposed budget 2 weeks ago on September the 9th, which brings us here for our final adoption hearing tonight, September the 23rd. As previously presented, the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget includes budgeted property value growth for fiscal year 2022 at 11.03%, and then estimated property value growth in fiscal year 2023 is set at 6%, and estimated property value growth in fiscal year 24 is set at 5%. General fund revenues and surplus reserves are maintained at a minimum of 45 to 60 days cash on hand by fiscal year 2024. As decided by the City Commission during the first public budget hearing, the millage rate is now programmed at a reduced 5.4323 mills. For a historical perspective, over the past 10 years, millage increases have been primarily related to public safety initiatives. In fiscal year 2016, the increase of 0.90 mills was established to maintain the 45 to 60 days cash on hand methodology and to fund the impacts of long-term growth on city services. In fiscal year 2019, the Commission lowered the millage rate by 1/10 of a mill, and as previously stated, a further reduction from 5.4644 to 5.4323 is programmed in this proposed fiscal year 2022 budget. As discussed at our last budget hearing, the proposed budget does include subsidy for the RP Funding Center through the General Fund, the Public Improvement Fund, and from other enterprise funds for some associated general services. It's important to note that the total subsidy includes debt service for renovations that occurred in 2018 at the RP Funding Center, and that is funded from the Public Improvement Fund. The total subsidy was reduced in 2018 and 19, but increased in 2020 due to the impacts of COVID. 2021 experienced a reduced subsidy, and this proposed fiscal year 2022 budget further reduces the subsidy by $652,000. More reductions are planned for future years, including a possibility to accelerate the Public Improvement Fund debt service payoff that I referred to just a moment ago. Also programmed into this proposed budget are across-the-board salary adjustments for the general employees of 1.5%, and then merit increases for eligible general employees at 2.5%. Collective bargaining employee increases in salary will be based on each collective bargaining agreement. Also, there is a 1% increase in health insurance rates for calendar year 2022 that has been factored in to the proposed budget. As previously presented, this proposed budget also includes funding for all of the target areas determined by the City Commission through our new and revised strategic plan. Operational additions include funding for a historic district phase 1 resurvey, 3 firefighter positions to restore minimum staffing on Tower 15, a fire plans examiner position, and a recreation supervisor, recreation leader, and part-time recreation leader for the new Lake Crego. Also in the proposed budget are the Commission's initiatives. As you'll recall that we had a workshop and the Commission went through a ranking process of initiatives. Some are funded in this proposed budget, others remain on the list to be funded in future years. Some of those initiatives, or I should say the initiatives that are included in this proposed fiscal year 2022 budget includes $1.1 million for in-car video, taser, and body-worn camera systems packages, or a package, plus 2 personnel and required cloud and hardware storage. There was an addition of $75,000 to expand the city's internship program. An additional $25,000 has been funded for cultural arts funding, increasing the previous $250,000 to $275,000. And then the City Commission decided to reduce the high skill, high wage incentive by $75,000. With that, I'm now going to yield to our Finance Director, Mike Brossart, and he will give an overall view of the total budget.
Well, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
What we'll do is not rehash what you have already heard. 2 weeks ago, what we'll do is talk about what's changed to the bottom line on these next four pie charts. And in a nutshell, what it is you asked us to reduce the property tax revenues slightly by 0.0321 mils. That equates to $251,292. Okay, so revenues went down by that. What went up in expenses is the $1,080,354 that we have set aside for the body-worn cameras, taser, in-car video system, okay? So what changed on the bottom line, it went from $762,300,051 to the $763,380,405, okay? And you'll see that not only on the revenue sources, but on the budget expense by account, same thing. Okay? Those are the two changes that were not baked into our budget system. We needed approval from you last time to get that. Those are what are in the system now. Okay? How does that look in the general fund revenue? Same thing. It's easier to see on this one. The property taxes went down by $251,292, and prior year surplus increased by that same offset amount to net to $1,080,354. Okay. Last pie chart is the general fund expenses. In there, capital outlay is what went up by the $1,080,354. Okay, so those are the only material changes to the bottom line. I'm going to stop there in case you have questions about those pie charts.
Anyone have questions for Mr. Brossard?
Okay. So the last slide we're going to talk about, same slide you've seen many times, but I really want to point out what's changed on this slide, because the last time we looked at this one, which was, we showed you different scenarios, and the last time we looked at this exact scenario with the 5.4323 and the in-car video and taser and body cams, the last year showed 58 days. So let me tell you what's changed, and it's just good stuff. It's just we've received more money from the state than what they had originally allocated to us. Okay, so where does it change? It changes right there where it says 1475, $1.475 million forecasted revenue savings in 21. Okay, the last time we met that was $695,000. So that increased amount really comes from let's see, the 11-cent cigarette tax. They send us $22,000 a month, the state does, and they just did a true-up. Deidre had been notified they just did a true-up, and we picked up $560,000 extra from that, okay? We got another $220,000, most of which came from the half-cent sales tax. That was a true-up that they sent us recently. Other than that, nothing else has changed other than the fiscal year 22 revenues and expenses reconcile back to exactly what we showed you on the pie charts. So if in fact you decide that you're going to move forward with the budget as presented, what you should hope for, what we all should hope for, is at least 60 days cash by 24. Okay? Any questions on that slide? Yes, sir.
In light that we picked up, what, $600,000?
Actually, it was closer to, yeah, actually 780, but yeah.
Can we look at the rollback rate?
Can you look at the rollback rate? I can show you what the rollback rate would look like on a different slide, but you're still going to be probably close to 40 days cash by 24.
I'm just trying to save some taxpayers' money for ad valorem tax. But
I mean, we
if you
can
show
do
it to me
anything,
anyway, just
we
wondering.
can do what you want. If the commission wants to see that, we can.
Commissioner Walker.
I want to make sure I'm thinking right. If we move that direction, then what about the advertisement and all that?
You can lower,
You can, you
We go
can,
down.
you can go down
you
from
can
the.
lower,
Make sure.
right.
Yeah, I think, the point though that Mike is making, our finance director though, is what we've pointed out before, when you look in those out years from 23 to 24,
Yes.
and you see that drop of 12 days, if you look to 25, you're going to have at least that much of a drop, if not more, if you now look to program in, less revenue than what has been programmed in at this point in time. We can certainly take a look at it if you would like.
We can show you, but I'm just going to bring you to the same point I've mentioned before. When we've added $1.1 million and we've not offset that with a revenue, we're using windfall monies to pay for the body cams. Look at 23 and 24. That's a 12-day drop. If we lower that to the rollback rate of 5.2 mils, you're going to be chewing up a lot more than 12 days. And so what you're doing is going to be asking a future commission, probably within the next 2 years at the earliest, to raise taxes back farther than what you're seeing. But again, I'm glad to show you if that's what the commission wants to see.
Commissioner McLeod.
If you have the slide handy, Mike.
I don't. I'm going to have to, it'll take a couple minutes, but I'm going to have to
just
get into
see
the
picture.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Sure.
I hear what you're describing. I think to see it
Yeah.
is helpful from,
Yeah.
I would say.
I didn't know we were gonna get $700,000 per se.
Yes, Commissioner Music.
Mike, when you're doing that, can you also do that with removing that additional expense for the body cameras that we have put in? Can you do it two different ways? Can you show it with and without? Because obviously we have, by having the TASER body cam system in, we have an increase. But if we remove that and lower the taxes, what does
Oh,
that
I got you. Remove the body cams as well.
Correct. And do it both ways, just so everybody can kind of see.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Mike.
No, you're
I'm sorry,
fine.
sorry.
You're fine. Sean and I had actually talked about it, and we'd asked that very question, is what if? And so we can actually calculate it, but it's just going to take a couple minutes.
It's much better than a chalkboard, though. You can do it
Do-
online.
And easy to see.
No pressure,
Do
Mike.
you a favor, because I hate it when people sit over my shoulder while I'm working.
Oh, I don't care.
We're gonna do
That's
this.
fine. Thank you. I just want to make sure I give you the right number.
We're not sure what he's doing anyway.
Evan's pushing.
Commissioners, if I may, while Mike is programming that in, I was going to hold off on a few comments, but I'll go ahead and make them now, Mayor Pro Tem, if that's okay. For the benefit of the public who is watching, I just want to kind of emphasize the point that I started with on the very first slide. I mean, we're at an adoption hearing tonight of a budget, it's more than $700 million, and it seems like, how can it be done so quickly? But I just would call out the fact again that really this is the 7th meeting. We've had 6 other meetings leading up to tonight, and I think that the way we've sort of landed here, with the discussions and considerations for the commission tonight, though, I think that speaks well for the process. It seems favorable that we've been able to see the commission have the discussions, receive the direction from you to get us to a point tonight to where we're really just at the adoption kind of finalization of the process. But it has been, a 7-step process that goes all the way back to February.
Thank you for that. I think that's really important. Can
Good
you
to share.
That was really important for you to share. Thank you for doing that, City Manager Strauss. On the state, maybe you can explain really quick while Mike's continuing to work. When we talk about true-ups, can you just explain that for the public? I think we all understand what that is when you're talking about the state allocation of revenue, that it's increased.
Yeah, Deidre can do that real quick.
Okay, that'd be awesome. I just think the public might be, I think we all understand, but I think when you say true up, sometimes they're like, oh, free money, but it's not really.
Good evening, Deidre Joseph, Assistant Finance Director. Every year, the state estimates what the revenue tax collection would be for the state shared revenues for each municipality. And based on that estimate, they pay us 1/12 every month. And the state's fiscal year end is June 30th. At that time, during the summer, they do a true-up, so to speak, based on the actual collections that were received during that fiscal year. Because what we're paid during the fiscal year is just estimates. And based on their lower estimated revenues for fiscal year 21 based on COVID, they were much lower than they normally are. And of course, as you know, the revenues were much more than anticipated.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that, Deidre.
You're welcome.
All right. So what you see here is lower revenues in '22 mirroring the rollback rate of 5.2020, I believe. That gets you to 45 days by '24. And again, I would just suggest you look at the difference between days cash between '23 and '24 and just reconcile what you think '25 might end up being. Now,
That's including.
this includes body cams. I was trying to answer the
Yes.
first question. Now, the second question, if you guys are ready, I can move to the second question, which was,
Without.
Are you good with that, Commissioner Reed?
I'll write these dates down, so I think he can put them back up again real quick, but I'm just looking at the 76, 77, 72, and the 60s,
this is rollback rate of 5.2020 and no body cam system, taser system, in-car video system for any of those 3 years. That's these numbers right here.
So it doesn't include them.
Are these the,
I'm sorry, wrong way,
That includes.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
wrong way, sorry. Thank you.
That includes.
Thanks, Dee. Dee caught, I didn't undo the wrong way.
Yeah.
This is rollback rate, no in-car video body cam system in any of those 3 years. Sorry.
So that's a 14-day between 23 and 24. Comments or questions on that? Yes,
I
sir.
want to make sure, this is including the cameras, right?
No.
No.
This is without the cameras.
This is
Right.
rollback and without it.
This is rollback without the cameras.
Without it.
Right.
And so commissioners, just kind of please disregard the note there in blue at the top. That was a preset note, and Mike made an adjustment there based on the request.
I just, for right now, I don't want to confuse it, but
Don't hit save.
it's, remember if the rollback was exactly
52019.
thank you.
And you're going to show us with the cameras in a few minutes then, right?
Yeah, that was the first one I should.
That was the
That's without.
45 days. Yeah, 54 without, 45 with.
Okay, this is what I didn't get.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is 5.2020 for millage and body cam system in there.
Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I think it's a good exercise. Thank you, Commissioner Reed, for the question. Thank you, Mike, for the data. I think I support staying with what we settled on and voted on at our last meeting and would support the simple majority rate, the 5.43 with the appropriations as we voted on at the last meeting.
Is that a form of motion?
I didn't know if we were taking motions yet. I just wanted to voice,
We
just as
haven't
we
read the
were.
public
Oh, it's
hearing.
not
This
read.
is still the presentation of the
have-
budget, correct? So we're not yet to the city attorney's piece of the second reading.
But this is the end of staff's presentation. We're here to answer any questions you may have, if there's a scenario else that you'd like. If not, staff is done, and we'll either answer questions or we could turn it to Palmer for the reading if that is what you'd like.
Any other questions for staff or comments on the budget presentation as it stands right now? Okay,
Okay, so there's two ordinances that you need to act on tonight. The first one by statute you have to act on is the Millage Ordinance. And I'll read that into the record. That's proposed ordinance number 21-038, an ordinance relating to ad valorem taxation, establishing the millage rate for the city of Lakeland, Florida for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022, providing for the levy of ad valorem taxes, finding the millage rate is 4.43% greater than the rollback rate, providing an effective date.
Move approval.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner McLeod. Any discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none, this is a, oh,
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Reed.
We're gonna vote on two different issues,
Yes.
are we not? We're gonna
Millage
vote
is
on
first.
Millage rate first,
Yes,
and then
sir.
the budget second.
Yes, sir.
And before you vote, the statute sets out this method, procedure they have to follow. So before you vote, I need to announce that the proposed millage rate under this ordinance is 5.4323. The rollback rate is 5.2019. So the rate represented by the ordinance that you just heard is 4.43% greater than the rollback rate. So now a vote is appropriate if you're ready.
So is the motion, Commissioner Walker, on the original amount, the original rollback?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's what we are.
Clarifying.
Yeah, okay.
Do we need to read that number?
Yes, again, the millage rate in the ordinance that I just read into the record is 5.4323. And that's what the motion and second were in reference to.
That's rollback.
That's not the rollback.
Oh, it's
That's,
not the rollback.
It's not the
Simple majority.
rollback.
It's
That's
something
a-
so majority, I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
It's the center box,
Yes, yes,
center box.
yes, yes.
Thank you. Oh, that's fine.
Middle box, yes.
So that, your motion is on the 5.4323, and the
Yes.
second is
So
on that as
majority.
well?
Yes.
By Commissioner McLeod?
Yes.
All right. So now we can vote?
it's appropriate if you're ready.
Yes. So, and this is roll call vote?
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Walker?
Aye.
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 No,
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1.
The second ordinance that you need to take action on is the actual budget, and that is proposed ordinance number 21-039, an ordinance relating to appropriations, providing for the appropriation of monies for the city of Lakeland, Florida, for various purposes for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2021, and ending September 30th, 2022, providing an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Second.
The motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments from the dais? Commissioners, yes, Commissioner Walker, or music?
Okay, so just so that I understand, what we are voting on is the budget amount that we talked about last time, okay? So my question is this, and I apologize if I should have asked this prior to, but as I look at the amount that we have included for body cameras and tasers and in-car video, we've set this money aside theoretically with this vote, if it passes. What happens if we get down the road and we realize this is not enough money to implement those things that have been approved? How does that work?
That's a good question.
So the budget will become effective October the 1st. And so anytime after that, staff can go out through the process, whether that be through an RFP or if there's a sole source justification, to try to work on a contract that would come back before the commission. And if it comes back and it's greater than the commission would approve, then that funding that was set aside in the budget would basically just be considered surplus, and the commission could then have other discussions about where you might want to then allocate that funding or leave it in surplus and roll to the next fiscal year.
And that amount is anything over the $1.1 million for the body cams, and is that correct? Or do they lump all of that money together? Right, there's a certain amount that we are approving for body cameras, correct? Or is it a generic dollar figure that that's what that, you know?
Well,
I'm not voting for it anyway, I'm just curious.
Right, what will happen is, Deidre has programmed in $1,080,354 in a project. It'll be in a project in LPD that's there and available as a budgeted item. But to the city manager's point, that is just that. It's just budget. It doesn't authorize committing us to a contract. That all has to come through you. So to me, at that point, the city manager then gets with the chief and says, okay, start your due diligence process in going forward on the items that you have identified that we're going to replace, that you all have heard about. And at that point, when it gets to the point that the chief and the city manager are ready to recommend a contract, it would then just come back to you, the seven of you, to discuss and decide whether you're going to approve or deny that contract.
And do I understand that, so the budget that we are tentatively approving today is an actual dollar number?
Yes, sir.
And inside of that is a budget for these cameras?
Yes, sir.
And if we pass that and we go through a proposal and we find out that it's higher, it's just going to come back to us, and then we're going to have to make the decision on what we want to do about that.
Right. Do you want to spend more, or do you want to ask the chief to, value engineer it down to X amount? And what I've seen in the past, departments will always come back with a VE, value engineered product, to try to stay within budget, unless it's just something they can't control, like construction costs and during COVID or things like that. So
right, and I know that we have, this isn't just a number that was pulled out of thin air, right? There was some research done to value this number, but again, my concern is that we're voting on it without an RFP, right? We don't know really. We're doing some phone calls, we're doing some stuff, and as a dais here of individuals who are always out there promoting that they're fiscally strong and fiscally responsible, we're about to vote on something that we don't know. We don't have something in here that we're voting on other than a $1.1 million allocation that we're putting to that. And then as we look out, right, the days are going down, our cash on hand is going down, and we've only taken it out really 3 years from now, because we're already at the end of the one. So we've only gone 3 years out, and we're looking to commit to something that once we get it in there, the people behind us and us, we're going to have to deal with that amount when it comes through. So we're going to approve it. Everybody's going to see it. It's already been in the papers, right? Hey, they've approved, body cameras. Well, then what happens when it comes back and the proposal comes back 6 months from now and it's higher? What's going to happen? Well, then we're going to find the money somewhere, and we're sitting here trying to lower taxes. Well, it's going to have to come from somewhere, because by doing this tonight, yeah, you're right, it's going to come back in front of us. I don't see how it's fiscally responsible to sit here and vote and say that that's okay when we don't know the numbers. And we're not voting on a one-time sewage repair, right? We're voting on something that this is going to be part of our system here in our police force for a long time. And that concerns me.
And I'm going to comment, and then I'll toss it to Commissioner Walker. But basically that's what we're doing with every budgeted item. So if we look at Lakeland Electric, and every time Ramona comes up here, and we just did the Rice, generators, that it's theoretical until we get them. That's not theoretical because we signed the contract. But don't freak out, Joel. We're getting you the generators. But all of that is very theoretical as we're in the budget process. So we have placeholders in here, and we are estimating that that's what that would cost. But we still have ultimate approval as a commission as to whether we sign off on it or not. So when Ramona comes, just to use like an electric as another example, Ramona comes and says, hey, we have, this is in the LE fiscal year 2022 budget, it doesn't mean that we have to approve that. Even if it's set aside, we don't have to sign off on everything that comes up in front of us. The staff may recommend it, or they might recommend that it comes in at a lower cost, or they might say, hey, we hedged on this and it's going to come in at a higher cost. Well, that is on us, the onus is on us as a commission to listen to what the staff brings before us and saying that this is what the number is. So all of it, if we can talk about that one item specifically, but that's the entire budget.
Obviously unbudgeted.
Right.
We're creating a budget for it, and really it's an uncertain budget because we don't know what this is going to cost us 3, 4, 5 years from now.
Right. Commissioner Walker?
I was gonna share some of the same thing you just shared, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, but also my dear friend, you know, as she just mentioned, we have said things or have projects that come before us for the last number of years, and always if something would happen, you know, and say, oh, we had a hiccup, it's going to cost additional dollars. They always come back to us and say, do you want to make sure and make an exception for that particular project to continue? Mind you, just as you just said, it could very well be less because it's all based on what other cities and other homework and research that our department and Assistant Chief Lehrman had done to bring us the number we have. It just didn't fall out of the sky. I'm sure we know that.
Right.
It's based on what his research was, based on those municipalities that do have the BWC and whatever the cost has been. And as we heard from the two, I think, police departments that shared with us during our time of when we had our workshops. So I see it as that, as a budget. Budgets can be amended or not amended as well. It's up to us.
Any other comments?
I've pretty much made up my mind. I don't need to hear any, I don't need to talk anymore.
Oh, okay. All right, so remind me, Palmer, we're back to public comment?
Yes.
So we'll call for any public comment on the budget, on the glasses, the proposed 21-039 budget for 21-22. So we have a motion on the floor and a second. All right, roll call vote, Palmer. Commissioner McLeod?
Aye.
No,
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-2. All right. I'm going to look at Palmer on.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is to set the city commission's salary for the upcoming fiscal year. By charter, the city commission automatically gets the same across-the-board increase as the city employees do. If you want to go to anything beyond that, you need to open it up for a public hearing and then have a vote on what you're going to set as the compensation above the across-the-board increase.
So this item is up for discussion more than a vote, correct?
Well, no, you need to vote, and unless you want to go above the across-the-board increase of the regular city employees. It's just it would just be a motion to approve setting the city commission's compensation at the across-the-board increase that is awarded to the city employees.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Reed?
this is a 2.5% increase. Is that a fair statement?
1.5.
1.5.
Yes, sir. The across-the-board increase programmed in for the general employees is 1.5%.
Okay, and then no merit?
The 2.5 is applied to the general employees if they're eligible for a merit increase. But I don't believe, Palmer, that the charter, does the charter for the commission include the same?
Charter just allows the city commission to vote on any amount in excess of the across-the-board increase. It has been advertised in the newspaper. Kelly advertised that at least 60 days ago to give you that option to go above the across-the-board rate.
Does that give the city attorney, you can give merit raises, and do you get a merit raise as well? Well, the city attorney and the city manager, you get a 1.5%, if we're voting on basically right now, either a 1.5% or more, Is that a fair statement?
We're just doing for commission.
For the commission.
Oh, okay, I thought we were
Is this
talking
just
about,
about-
okay, I'm sorry,
Just,
Do you want a merit?
Do you want a merit increase?
You're doing a great job, Commissioner Reed.
yeah, I'm confusing everybody, all right.
So right now, we're just on city commission, so I think we need a motion if we're going to maintain the across the board 1.5.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second by Commissioner Madden. Any comments from the commission? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, is this a voice vote? Or,
It's, yes, a voice vote.
okay,
Yes.
voice vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And then the next two items are setting the compensation for the city attorney and city manager. Our reviews are scheduled for, I believe, around October 15th. And traditionally, what the city commission has done is defer setting those compensation rates until the evaluations are complete. So you could just table that in pending the completion of the evaluations.
motion to table until completion of the evaluations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes,
I'm
Commissioner
a
Reed.
little bit confused, so hopefully you guys can, Palmer, you can give your associates a 1.5 plus a merit raise?
1.5 plus 2.5, yes.
Okay.
Good, yeah.
Okay, if we can give you 2.5, or we have to, if we say yes, it's only you get 1.5, or we can give you a merit as well?
You can, it's
take some-
similar to the city commission. You can set it at what you want. It can go up, it can go down. It's totally in the city commission's discretion.
Okay.
But we'll discuss
But we've
that
always done it after the
after
evaluation, yeah.
performance review in October.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Are we gonna wait till the performance review?
Yeah, that's.
That's what we always done.
That's what it's traditionally been done, yes.
That's what we normally done.
For a merit raise over there?
You're opening up a new can of worms today.
I didn't open any can. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to discuss at the October 15th performance review for the city attorney, or city manager first and then city attorney, or are we doing you both at the same time?
I mean, right now,
In the
for
vote.
purposes of today, you can take them at the same time.
Okay, we're going to vote at the same time. So no further comment from commission?
What are we gonna do, why are we doing both at the same time?
Because we're waiting until we get their evaluations back.
That's when they're evaluating.
Yeah, you did that.
Okay. Any comment from the public? All right, is this a voice vote?
Yes.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And Commissioner Reed gets a merit increase.
I shouldn't have come tonight, I think.
All right, City Manager Sherrouse, you're next up.
That completes all items on the agenda, Mayor Pro Tem. I think we have nothing else from staff. I would like to thank all of staff, especially, the department heads that worked so hard through this revised budget process, and I appreciate the support of the commission in the changes that we've made, and certainly we'll have an opportunity to review that before we start next year's process, and I'll be looking for any feedback that you have for further changes that you may wish. And other than that, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Anything from City Attorney?
I'm just a little worried about what Commissioner Reed's going to do.
Okay. Mayor and members of the City Commission, any comments? Anything you want to share? Commissioner Music?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment based on the budget that I had relayed to the individuals when they were here speaking at the last meeting, and that is that fiscally, I was just against it because I like to look at a long term, and I saw a decline and it made me nervous. But I'm just gonna say publicly what I told a lot of them privately is when these contracts come through, just like the rest of you, I'm gonna fight absolutely as hard as I can to make sure that we're getting the best equipment at the best price, and that we're making sure that our officers are always number one when it comes to their safety as well. So. Even though I voted against it, I'm on the boat with everybody else, and I'm going to row just as hard, if not harder, to make sure we get the right thing.
Great.
So thank you.
Yes, sir. Commissioner
I
Reed?
just want to say, don't leave Bill Anderson, I need to talk to you.
I'm sorry, Bill. Anyone, Commissioner Madden or McLeod or Walker? All right. Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, we will call for adjournment. Good job. Bill, you're killing me.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.